The grand assembly of the Galactic Confederation stretched across the void of space, a massive structure of crystalline spires and zero-gravity chambers that housed representatives from over 10,000 civilizations. Today, its usual orderly proceedings had been thrown into chaos by the arrival of an unexpected delegation. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood at the center of the main chamber, her simple black suit a stark contrast to the elaborate biomechanical regalia of the alien representatives surrounding her. The quantum-translated voices of hundreds of species filled the chamber with a cacophony of protests and demands for order. The human delegation is out of order. The booming voice of High Counselor 6427 cut through the noise. The being's crystalline form pulsed with patterns of angry red light. You were not granted entry into these chambers. Security protocols were bypassed using technology you believed we couldn't possibly possess. Sarah completed the sentence, her voice calm but carrying an edge of steel. Just like you believed we couldn't detect your observation posts on Europa, or your genetic sampling facilities in the Mariana Trench, or your consciousness mapping arrays in low Earth orbit. The chamber fell silent. Sarah activated a holographic display from her wrist device, projecting a three-dimensional map of the solar system. Hundreds of locations lit up in red, each representing a hidden alien installation that had been monitoring humanity for centuries. For 300 years, members of this confederation have treated Earth as their personal laboratory. Sarah continued, "You've manipulated our genetics, influenced our technological development, and even orchestrated conflicts to study our responses, all while pretending we were alone in the universe." High Counselor 6427's crystalline form dimmed slightly. "These are serious accusations, human. If you have evidence." "We have everything," Sarah interrupted, her finger tapping her wrist device again. The hologram shifted, showing detailed scans of alien facilities, intercepted communications, and genetic manipulation data, including proof that at least 7 member species of this confederation violated your own prime directive of non-interference. The Varan delegation, insectoid beings known for their genetic engineering expertise, clicked their mandibles nervously. Their ambassador stepped forward, compound eyes reflecting the holographic display. "These facilities, they are merely observational. For scientific purposes." Sarah's laugh was sharp and without humor. "Is that what you call the forced evolution experiments on human test subjects in your deep-sea facilities? Or perhaps the memory alteration programs run by the Nexus Collective? We found the survivors, Ambassador. All of them." The chamber erupted again, but this time with a different tenor. Fear had entered the equation. Representatives from the named species began hurriedly consulting with their aides, while others tried to distance themselves from the accusations. "What do you want?" The question came from an unexpected source, a representative of the Arcturian Alliance, one of the oldest and most respected members of the Confederation. Their floating form, composed of pure energy contained within a specialized field, approached Sarah. "Justice," Sarah replied simply, "and insurance that this never happens again. We're not here for revenge, though we have every right to seek it. We're here to take our place among the stars, not as your test subjects, but as equals." The hologram changed one final time, showing a massive fleet of ships hidden in the Kuiper Belt. Ships that shouldn't have been possible with humanity's known level of technology. Ships that bore marking from a dozen different alien civilizations. "Those look familiar, don't they?" Sarah's smile was razor-sharp. "They should. We built them using the technologies you left scattered around our solar system. Turns out humans are remarkably good at reverse engineering. Another trait you documented extensively in your studies." High Counselor 6427's crystalline form had dulled to an almost gray color. "You salvaged our observation posts." "We did more than salvage them," Sarah corrected. "We improved them, just like we improved every piece of technology we found. Your studies showed that humans have an unusual talent for innovative thinking, for seeing connections others miss. Did you never wonder why that trait was so carefully documented in your research? The chamber had grown deathly quiet. The implications were starting to sink in. Humanity hadn't just discovered they were being watched. They had turned their observers' own tools against them, learning and advancing in secret while maintaining a careful facade of ignorance. "Here are our terms," Sarah announced, her voice carrying clearly through the silence. "First, all experimentation on Earth and its people ends immediately. Second, those responsible for the illegal genetic experiments will face justice under Confederation law. Third, Earth will be granted full membership in the Confederation, with all the rights and protections that entails." She paused, looking around the chamber. "And finally, we want access to all data collected about humanity over the past 3 centuries. It's time we learned exactly what was done to us, and by whom." The Arcturian representative's energy form pulsed with what might have been respect. "And if these terms are not met?" Sarah's expression remained neutral, but her eyes hardened. "Then we release everything we've discovered to every species in the Confederation. Every illegal experiment, every violation of your laws, every secret deal and hidden agenda. I imagine that would make for some very interesting conversations in this chamber." The threat hung in the air like a blade. The political chaos from such revelations would tear the Confederation apart. Centuries-old alliances would crumble as species learned how their trusted partners had violated the most sacred laws of their society. High Counselor Zix 427's form brightened slightly as they came to a decision. "The Council will need time to verify these claims and discuss the terms." "You have 24 Earth hours," Sarah replied. "We've waited long enough for justice." She turned and walked toward the chamber's exit, her footsteps echoing in the stunned silence. At the doorway, she paused and looked back. "Oh, and one more thing. Those ships we built. They're just the ones we wanted you to see." As the human delegation departed, the chamber exploded into frantic discussion. The age of treating humanity as a primitive species to be studied and manipulated was over. A new era was beginning. One where humanity would demand answers for centuries of interference, and the galaxy would learn why their research had always warned. Handle with extreme caution. Dr. Maya Patel stood before the emergency council session, her holographic presentation showing DNA strands that twisted and changed in impossible ways. Behind her, Sarah Chen watched as the alien representatives shifted uncomfortably in their environmental chambers. "What you're seeing," Maya explained, her voice steady despite the gravity of her words, "is the result of over 40 generations of targeted genetic manipulation. These changes don't occur naturally. They were engineered by you." The Varen genetic specialist, Ixthen, chittered nervously. "This is impossible. The human genome was far too unstable for such precise modification. Our attempts always." The insectoid alien fell silent, realizing too late what they had admitted. Sarah's smile was cold as winter. "Please, Ambassador Ixthen," she said, "do continue. You were explaining how your unauthorized genetic experiments failed." Maya brought up a new hologram, a 3-dimensional map of human DNA, with certain sequences highlighted in pulsing red. "We found markers from at least 12 different species manipulation attempts. The Varen tried to enhance our adaptive capabilities. The Nexus Collective attempted to increase our psychological resilience. The Arcturians..." She paused, looking directly at their energy form representative. "The Arcturians tried to give us telepathy." The chamber erupted in shocked murmurs. Telepathic abilities were strictly regulated in Confederation space after the psychic wars nearly destroyed galactic civilization millennia ago. "But here's what's fascinating," Maya continued, calling up new data streams. "None of these modifications worked exactly as intended. Human DNA did something unprecedented. It adapted. It took your changes and transformed them into something new, something you couldn't predict or control." The hologram shifted to show human brain scans. "You wanted telepaths. Instead, you got our incredible capacity for empathy and social bonding. You tried to enhance our physical adaptability. We gained the ability to thrive in almost any environment. Every attempt to mold us created unexpected results. High Counselor Zix 427's crystalline form pulsed with concerned patterns. If what you say is true, then humanity's development was corrupted. You should be demanding restoration to your original genetic state. Sarah stepped forward. Original state? There isn't one. Humanity's earliest DNA samples already show signs of manipulation. Some of you have been experimenting on us since before we built our first cities. The revelation hit the chamber like a physical blow. Several representatives immediately began accessing their species' historical databases, searching for evidence of these ancient programs. But we discovered something else. Maya added, her expression grave. Something that explains why so many of you were interested in our genetics in the first place. She activated a final hologram, a complex molecular structure that rotated slowly in the air. The Arcturian representative's energy form flared brightly. Impossible. That's the precursor gene complex, Maya finished. The same genetic sequence found in artifacts left by the species that allegedly seeded the galaxy with life billions of years ago. Humanity doesn't just carry traces of it. It's woven throughout our DNA. We're not just another test subject. We're living proof of the precursor's existence. The chamber descended into chaos. The precursors were a mythical race whose supposed artifacts had driven scientific advancement for millennia. Their existence was the subject of fierce debate and religious devotion among many species. This is why you kept us isolated, Sarah declared, her voice cutting through the noise. This is why you experimented on us in secret. You weren't just studying another primitive species. You were trying to unlock the secrets of the beings who might have created all of you. The Varen ambassador's mandibles clicked rapidly. If this data becomes public— It already has, Sarah interrupted. We're transmitting everything we've discovered to every scientific institution in Confederation space right now. The days of keeping humanity's true nature hidden are over. Maya brought up one final display. A map showing thousands of transmission points spreading across the galaxy. We're not asking for justice anymore, she said quietly. We're demanding it. The beings you treated as lab rats carry the genetic legacy of the species you've been searching for since you first reached the stars. High Counselor Zix 427 raised their crystalline appendages in a gesture of conciliation. Perhaps we can discuss how to proceed with this sensitive information. No, Sarah cut in. No more discussions behind closed doors. No more secret deals. The truth about humanity's genetic heritage belongs to everyone, including us. Especially us. She stepped forward, addressing the entire chamber. For centuries, you treated Earth as your private laboratory because you thought we were special. You were right, but not for the reasons you thought. We're not special because we carry precursor genes. We're special because despite everything you did to us, despite all your attempts to shape us into what you wanted, we remained uniquely, unmistakably human. Maya nodded, shutting down her holograms. Your experiments failed because you didn't understand what you were working with. Human DNA doesn't just adapt, it innovates. It doesn't just survive changes, it thrives on them. Every attempt to control our development only made us stronger, more resilient, more human. The chamber had grown quiet, the implications of these revelations settling over the assembled representatives like a heavy shroud. Humanity wasn't just demanding answers for past experiments. They were announcing their place as perhaps the most important species in the galaxy. We'll reconvene tomorrow, Sarah announced. By then, every scientist in Confederate space will have had time to verify our findings. I suggest you all use that time to consider very carefully how you want to proceed. Humanity is owed more than just answers. We're owed our birthright. As they left the chamber, the silence followed them. In the space of 2 days, humanity had transformed from a quarantined experiment into a force that could reshape the political and scientific landscape of the galaxy. The question now wasn't just about justice for past wrongs. It was about what humanity would do with their newfound power. And in the depths of space, ancient machines that had lain dormant for billions of years began to stir, responding to genetic signatures they had been waiting eons to detect. Commander James Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Earth ship Prometheus, watching as the massive holographic display showed hundreds of alien vessels approaching the Sol system's edge. The Confederation had finally decided to flex its military might, exactly as humanity had anticipated. They're maintaining formation, his XO, Lieutenant Commander Yuki Tanaka, reported. 17 different species ships in the fleet, mostly Varan and Nexus designs. James nodded, tapping his neural interface to connect with the ship's eye. Athena, begin broadcast on all frequencies, including their encrypted channels. The A's response echoed through his mind. Broadcasting, Commander. The Confederation fleet is receiving. The holographic display shifted, showing the face of Fleet Commander Kextil of the Varan Expeditionary Force. The insectoid alien's compound eyes reflected multiple images of James's bridge. This is your only warning. Kextil's translated voice rang out. The human fleet will stand down and submit to Confederation authority. Or, I'm going to stop you right there, James interrupted, his voice calm. Look at your sensor readings again, specifically the quantum signature of your drive cores. There was a moment of confusion, then panic spread across the alien commander's features. Their ship's quantum drives were showing impossible readings, frequencies that exactly matched their own unique signatures. How? Kextil's mandibles clicked rapidly. These readings, they're identical to our core signatures. This is impossible. James allowed himself a small smile. 300 years of studying your observation posts taught us a lot about quantum entanglement, particularly how to use it to link systems together. Right now, every ship in your fleet is quantumly entangled with ours. The implications hit the alien commander like a physical blow. Quantum entanglement at this scale meant that any action taken against the human fleet would be mirrored in their own ships. They couldn't fire without firing on themselves, couldn't raise shields without affecting their own defenses. Of course, James continued, that's just the beginning. Dr. Patel, would you like to explain what else we've been working on? Maya's hologram appeared beside him, holding a small device. This is a quantum resonance key, reverse-engineered from technology we found in your Europa observation post. It lets us access and control any system using similar quantum architectures. She paused, letting the words sink in. Like, for example, every piece of Confederation technology built in the last century. The alien commander's image flickered as they presumably received urgent communications from their superiors. When they spoke again, their voice carried a note of desperate fury. You couldn't have developed this level of technology so quickly. It's not possible. Actually, Yuki chimed in. We've had most of this technology for decades. We just let you think we were still struggling with basic fusion power while we studied your weaknesses. James nodded to Maya, who activated the device in her hand. Across the Confederation fleet, ships began reporting system anomalies. Weapons powered down. Navigation systems recalibrated. Quantum cores entered safe mode. Here's what's going to happen, James announced. Your fleet is going to return to Confederation space. Then we're going to have a very interesting conversation about the future of galactic relations, one where humanity isn't just given a seat at the table. We help redesign the table itself. Kextil's image showed the alien commander consulting frantically with their staff. The Confederation Council will never agree to this level of human involvement. The political ramifications are exactly why they will agree, Maya interrupted. We're not just threatening your military superiority. We're threatening the technological foundation of your entire civilization. Every quantum-based system in Confederation space can be accessed using our keys. Think about what that means. The implications were staggering. Banking systems, transportation networks, communication grids, everything that held their interstellar civilization together was suddenly vulnerable. But we're not destroyers, James added, his tone softening slightly. "We're innovators. The quantum integration technology we develop doesn't just let us control your systems, it lets us improve them. Make them more efficient, more stable, more secure." He gestured, and Athena displayed technical specifications showing how the human modifications had actually enhanced the alien fleet's capabilities. "We can offer the Confederation something it hasn't seen in millennia. True technological advancement. Not just refinements of existing systems, but whole new ways of thinking about quantum mechanics." The alien commander was silent for a long moment, likely receiving new orders from their superiors. Finally, they spoke. "The Council requests time to consider these developments." "They have 12 hours, James replied. "After that, we start implementing our improvements across Confederation space, whether they agree or not. Imagine the chaos when some systems are dramatically more advanced than others, some trade routes more efficient, some planets suddenly having technological advantages over their neighbors." The threat was clear. Either the Confederation worked with humanity to implement these changes in an orderly fashion, or humans would create technological chaos that would reshape the balance of power throughout the galaxy. Maya stepped forward. "We're not seeking revenge. We're seeking partnership, but it will be a true partnership, not the false hierarchy you try to impose on us. Humanity's innovations, combined with Confederation resources and experience, could usher in a new golden age for all species." The alien fleet began to withdraw, their perfectly coordinated movements now seeming less threatening and more like a carefully choreographed retreat. As they disappeared into quantum space, James turned to his crew. "And that," he said with a slight smile, "is how you win a war without firing a shot." Yuki nodded, but her expression was serious. "They'll try to find a way around our quantum integration. Try to develop new systems we can't control." "Of course they will," Maya agreed. "And we'll help them do it. Because that's the point. We don't want control. We want cooperation. Real cooperation, based on mutual respect and innovation." James looked out at the stars, thinking about how humanity's long isolation had forced them to think differently, to see patterns others missed, to find solutions where others saw only problems. "Send word to the Council," he ordered. "Tell them we're ready to begin preliminary discussions about implementing the quantum integration protocols. And remind them, we're not just offering technology. We're offering a future where humanity's greatest strength, our ability to adapt and innovate, becomes the galaxy's greatest asset." As the message was sent, the quantum cores of their ships hummed with power that represented not just technological achievement, but the promise of a new era in galactic history, an era where humanity's long journey from test subjects to equals would finally be complete. The diplomatic chamber of the Confederation Archives was ancient, its walls embedded with the recorded histories of 10,000 civilizations. Ambassador Sarah Chen sat at the central table, facing not the High Council, but representatives of species that rarely appeared in these hallowed halls. The drift nomads, beings of pure plasma who had been relegated to the outer arms of the galaxy. The Silicon Collective, a silicon-based species dismissed as primitive despite their profound understanding of quantum mechanics. The Deep Space Architects, organic supercomputers who had withdrawn from Confederation politics centuries ago. For too long, Sarah addressed them, the Confederation has been ruled by species who believe age equals wisdom and tradition equals right. They forgot that the galaxy belongs to all of us. The Silicon Collective's representative, a crystalline being named Terra 9, shifted their facets to catch the light. "Yet you contacted us in secret, built alliances away from the Council's eyes. How does this make you different?" Sarah smiled. "Because we're not here to replace one hierarchy with another. We're here to break the hierarchy entirely." She activated a holographic display, showing a complex network of connections between various species. Every civilization has something unique to offer. The Confederation's mistake was trying to rank these contributions in order of importance. The drift nomad representative, a swirling cloud of ionized particles, pulsed with interest. Your quantum integration technology. It bears similarities to our plasma containment fields. Because we learned from you, Maya Patel confirmed, stepping forward. While the Council dismissed you as nomadic wanderers, we saw the elegance in your energy manipulation techniques, just as we saw the brilliance in the Silicon Collective's quantum theories and the Deep Space Architect's organic computing. The hologram shifted, showing how humanity had combined technologies and theories from dozens of overlooked species to create something entirely new. The quantum integration wasn't just human innovation. It was a synthesis of knowledge from civilizations the Confederation had marginalized. The Council species became complacent. Sarah continued. They stopped looking for new ways of thinking, new perspectives. They believed they had all the answers. But you, all of you, kept innovating, kept discovering, kept pushing boundaries, just like us. The Deep Space Architect's representative, a living computer matrix that shimmered with complex calculations, projected a thought pattern of understanding. You used our isolation against them. While they watched you, you watched everyone. Exactly, Sarah confirmed. Every time they sent an observation post to study us, we used it to study the entire galaxy. Every probe they launched gave us another window into Confederation space. We learned about all of you, your achievements, your frustrations, your potential. Maya brought up new data streams showing hundreds of diplomatic and technological exchange programs, all conducted in secret over the past few decades. We didn't just build a fleet or develop new technology. We built a network, a community of species who understand that progress doesn't come from enforcing traditions. It comes from challenging them. The Silicon Collective's representative crystallized a new pattern of agreement. The Council believed they were containing primitive species, protecting galactic civilization from chaos. Instead, they were stifling the very innovation they claimed to champion. And now they face a choice, Sarah said, her voice firm. Either adapt to a new reality where all species have a voice, or watch as their carefully controlled society fractures under the weight of progress they can't control. The drift nomad swirled thoughtfully. The quantum integration technology. It could revolutionize our containment fields, allow us to establish permanent settlements. Just as your plasma manipulation techniques could revolutionize our quantum cores, Maya agreed. That's the point. When we share knowledge freely, everyone benefits. The Council species hoarded their advantages, tried to maintain their position through artificial scarcity of technology and information. The Deep Space Architect projected a complex series of calculations. You propose a new model of galactic civilization. Not hierarchical, but networked. Not controlled, but collaborative. Sarah nodded. The Confederation was built on the idea that older species should guide younger ones. But age doesn't equal wisdom, and tradition doesn't equal truth. Look at what all of you accomplished in isolation. Imagine what we could all achieve together. She stood, looking at each representative in turn. The Council believes they're facing the human uprising. They're wrong. They're facing the future, a future where every species contributes, where innovation comes from collaboration, not competition. The chamber was quiet for a moment as the implications settled. Then the Silicon Collective's representative spoke. The Council will resist. Change threatens their power. Let them resist, Sarah replied. While they're focused on human ships and human technology, they're missing the real revolution. In labs and workshops across the galaxy, scientists and engineers from 100 species are already sharing ideas, combining technologies, breaking down the barriers that kept us separate. Maya smiled. The quantum integration was just the beginning. Wait until they see what happens when the Silicon Collective's quantum theories meet the Drift Nomad's plasma manipulation and the Deep Space Architect's organic computing. The Drift Nomad pulsed with what might have been laughter. They feared human adaptability, never realizing you would adapt by becoming the ultimate collaborators. Exactly, Sarah confirmed. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our genetics. It's our ability to see connections others miss, to bring together different perspectives, and create something new. She activated one final hologram, a map of the galaxy with thousands of points of light representing different species, all connected in a vast network of cooperation and exchange. "The age of isolation is over," she declared. "The age of true collaboration is beginning. The Council can either help lead us into this new era, or they can watch from the sidelines as the galaxy evolves without them." As the representatives began discussing specific cooperation agreements, Sarah shared a knowing look with Maya. The Council had spent centuries trying to control humanity, never realizing they were actually creating the perfect mediators, a species that could bridge gaps, see possibilities, and bring together the forgotten innovators of the galaxy. The real revolution wasn't happening in council chambers or fleet deployments. It was happening in countless small interactions between species who had finally found their voice, their value, and their place in a galaxy that was about to remember how to dream of new possibilities again. The Grand Assembly Chamber had been transformed. Where once only the most prestigious species held seats, now representatives from across the galaxy filled the space. The Drift Nomads' plasma forms danced alongside the crystalline structures of the Silicon Collective. The Deep Space Architects' neural matrices hummed in harmony with dozens of other species that had long been denied a voice in galactic affairs. High Counselor 6427 stood at the center, their crystalline form subdued. After much deliberation, the Council acknowledges that the old ways must change. Sarah Chen watched from her position among the Earth delegation, sharing a subtle glance with Maya Patel and Commander Rodriguez. The past week had seen the galaxy transform in ways even they hadn't fully anticipated. "The evidence is irrefutable," Zix 427 continued. "The combined technological innovations of humanity and their allied species have already begun reshaping our civilization. The quantum integration protocols alone have increased efficiency across all Confederate systems by 300%. The Silicon Collective's representative sparkled with pride. Their quantum theories, combined with human innovation and drift nomad energy manipulation, had created something entirely new, a technological revolution that was already spreading across the galaxy. Furthermore, Zix 427 added, their tone carrying a note of what might have been humility, the discovery of active precursor sites responding to human genetic signatures cannot be ignored. The chamber's holographic displays showed the ancient machines that had awakened, not weapons or tools of destruction, as many had feared, but vast archives of knowledge. The precursors hadn't left behind engines of war. They had left libraries, waiting for their children to grow wise enough to find them. The precursors didn't seed the galaxy to create servants or soldiers, Maya explained, standing to address the chamber. They created diversity because they understood that the greatest achievements come from combining different perspectives. They didn't want copies of themselves. They wanted innovation, adaptation, evolution. Commander Rodriguez stepped forward. The quantum integration technology proves this. It's not just about controlling systems. It's about connecting them, allowing different technologies to work together in ways their original creators never imagined. Sarah nodded, taking her place at the central podium. For too long, the Confederation tried to impose order through hierarchy and control. But true order, true progress, comes from harmony. From understanding that different doesn't mean inferior, that new doesn't mean dangerous. The chamber hummed with energy as more species added their voices to the discussion. The Drift Nomads shared their discoveries about dark energy manipulation. The Deep Space Architects proposed new models of organic computing. Ideas and innovations flowed freely, unrestricted by the old barriers of status and tradition. Therefore, Zix 427 declared, the Council proposes a complete restructuring of the Confederation. No more hierarchies based on age or traditional power. Instead, we will create collaborative councils, where expertise and innovation determine influence. The proposal was met with widespread approval, but Sarah raised her hand for attention. With respect, High Counselor, the Earth delegation has a counter-proposal. She activated a holographic display showing a new organizational structure, one that looked more like a neural network than a hierarchy. We don't need to replace one rigid system with another. Let's create something organic, something that can grow and adapt. The display showed how different species could form temporary collaborative groups based on shared projects or goals, then reorganize as new challenges emerge. It was chaos theory applied to galactic civilization, a system that found order and flexibility rather than control. Humanity's gift to the galaxy isn't just our technology or our genetics, Sarah explained. It's our perspective. We understand that strength comes from diversity, that progress comes from challenge, that wisdom comes from being willing to learn from everyone, not just those who look or think like us. The chamber erupted in discussion as species began to see the possibilities. The Varan, once focused solely on genetic engineering, were already in deep discussion with the Silicon Collective about combining biological and crystalline computing. The Nexus Collective, who had tried to engineer telepathy in humans, were learning about the Drift Nomad's natural empathic abilities. The precursors didn't leave us weapons or tools of conquest, Maya added. They left us knowledge, and they encoded in humanity's DNA a key to unlock it. Not because we're superior, but because they saw in our adaptability the potential to bring together all their children, all of you, in ways they themselves couldn't imagine. Commander Rodriguez stepped forward. Our fleet stands down. The quantum integration protocols are now open source, available to all species to study, improve, and adapt. Earth doesn't seek to control or dominate. We seek to connect, to facilitate, to help build something new. High Counselor Zix 427's crystalline form pulsed with unexpected warmth. Then let this be the dawn of a new age. Not the age of the Confederation or of humanity, but of all of us together. An age of innovation without borders, of progress without prejudice, of strength through diversity. The chamber's ancient walls seemed to thrum with energy as species that had been separated by politics and prejudice began to forge new connections. The quantum network that humanity had created was already adapting, growing, evolving as more minds added their wisdom to its matrix. Sarah watched as ancient rivals became collaborators, as forgotten species shared their hidden knowledge, as the galaxy itself seemed to awaken to new possibilities. This was humanity's true victory, not conquest or dominance, but catalyzing a transformation that would ripple across the cosmos. In the depths of space, the precursor archives continued to activate, responding to the quantum signatures of a civilization finally ready to receive their legacy. Not as servants or subjects, but as innovators and explorers who had found their own path to the stars. The age of isolation was over. The age of true collaboration had begun. And somewhere in the vast expanse of space, humanity had found not just their place among the stars, but their role in shaping the future of all species who shared the galaxy with them. A future where the only constant was change, and the greatest strength was the ability to adapt, to learn, and to grow together.